welcome back to my channel. So as you can see by the title, today I'm going to be sharing with you all just a generic timeline of what you could be doing the summer prior to senior year when you begin the whole grad school application process. I remember when I was doing this application process, especially being a first generation student, I had no idea where to even begin or how the application season was going to entail. I kind of just went with the flow, and I, to be honest, felt lost and confused in certain times. And so I'm making this video as a means to help any of you who are also going to be applying to the fall 2022 application cycle. And if you are not going to apply, that is totally okay. You can definitely use these tips whenever it comes time for you to apply to your grad schools or wherever you're going to apply. So I really hope that you all enjoy this video. If you do, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and I will be more than happy to make more content like this. And one last thing, thank you so much for 200 subscribers. Actually, I'm currently at 202, but I just passed 200 a few days ago, and I cannot believe how many people are continuing to subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I just feel super thankful to have all of you. And so if you would like to subscribe and be a part of this wonderful SLP to be community, or if you are an SLP and you just would like to subscribe, then feel free to do so. By all means, I'd be more than happy to have you on my channel. So with all that said, we can go ahead and get started. So the way I broke this down is I divided everything in 4 months. So most students finish in May. So you have May, June, July, and August. And I know some students do end up finishing the semester in June and then don't start till September. So if that's you, then totally okay. You could just move it 1 month over. But basically for the month of May, what I have here is I just wrote generic kind of tips. You don't have to follow them all. This is just things that I came up with, and then what other SLP students who already finished the application process, what they came up with as well. So the first is to create a CSDCAS account. I'm going to go ahead and link the CSDCAS website down in the comment section down below. And it is open. I saw that a student said that it was, and I double checked, and it is. So I highly would suggest to create a CSDCAS account and slowly begin to fill out all the information, whether that is like your name, your last name, your date of birth, or create the account and then begin filling it out. The next is to create a GRE study plan if you haven't taken the GRE already. Whether that is a month or 2 months prior to taking the GRE, I highly would suggest to do that now. And then also to call places to volunteer, shadow, or observe. I know right now there's a lot of places that are starting to open up, and so if you're lucky, you may have the chance to continue doing things prior to the pandemic. And so what you could do is you can call those places and see what's the possibility of volunteering and all those things. Obviously some places are being strict about it, but it's just a matter of just calling and seeing what can happen from that. Next is to sign up for any summer courses, whether that is SLP related or if they have to do with the 4 ASHA requirements courses. So I know that it's biology, physics or chemistry, social science, and then statistics. Next is to research any schools, specifically grad programs that you may be interested in. So there's a whole bunch of programs throughout the country that people end up applying to. And so it's very important that you research schools that you want to go to as a student, even though you'll end up graduating with the same degree. They all tend to offer different courses. So for example, I'm trying to be an SLP who works with Spanish-speaking patients as well as English-speaking patients. And so I want to be able to find a program that will allow for me to practice that bilingualism. So I highly would suggest to look into programs that will fit what you want to do as a future SLP. Next is to start to brainstorm what you want your personal statements to look like. Usually you can get like a generic idea, somewhat like, why do you want to be an SLP, or what made you pursue this field, or why should we pick you rather than another student. So typically you should just brainstorm a generic overview of what you want your essay to look like, and that way you can have like a masterpiece personal statement, so that you can use that and tailor it to other questions that could be possibly asked in the application. And finally, I threw this one out there just in case some people might want to know, but it is very expensive to apply to grad school. I think I remember paying about $700, I think a little bit more or around that, to apply to grad schools, and I didn't even end up going to them. So I cannot tell you enough how important it is to create a budget plan so that you can save up money over the summer so that you could pay off for the applications. And I am putting that out there because some students, at least for me, when I was applying, I found it to be a shocker when I found out how much I was going to pay. And there are no, I think, application fee waivers. I think that's usually just from high school to a four-year university. So I just highly would suggest to save up money, because you may or may not need it, given that you're going to senior year, there's a lot of already expenses there, and then just applying to grad school in itself is definitely expensive. This also doesn't even include things like your GRE score, sending in transcripts, paying for additional fees if you like want them to be sent as an express thing, you know. So I highly would suggest to save money over the summer so that you can have enough money to apply to all the grads programs that you want to apply to. But yeah, that is basically everything for the month of May. Okay, so now I'm going to be moving on to the month of June. For the first one is just to continue studying for the GRE based off of the plan that you created in the month of May, or take it if you had just a 1 month plan. Next is to continue to fill out that CSDCAS application that I talked about for the month of May, or if you haven't done so already, create the account. So next is to begin your personal statement. And I know I talked about brainstorming the essay itself, but here you want to actually begin to create the essay of what you want to use. And so typically what I would do, or what I plan on doing, is going to the program that I really want to go to, and then look at the question that they asked the students who were in that application cycle and see what question they asked them, and kind of create my own essay based off of what they asked those students. So I highly would suggest to do that. That way you could really begin to work on it. Next is to do a brag sheet as well as a letter of recommendation template. So if you don't know what a brag sheet is usually given to your recommenders so that they could see the type of student that you are. Typically here you just kind of talk about generic points of yourself. That includes things like being a first generation student, why you're pursuing speech, your grades, extracurricular activities, and all that stuff. You want the recommender to get a holistic overview of the type of student that you are outside of the class. So it's very important that you give them a comprehensive list of who you are. And so it's very important that you make it detailed enough so that you can provide them with the best type of information. And this also includes the letter of recommendation template email. So typically here you just want to create an email that you will be sending to recommenders, and so it's good that you create it earlier so that way you don't have to worry about it, and when the time comes you will just click send and you'll already have it drafted. And finally, to create an Excel sheet and slowly compile the list of schools that you are going to be applying to. I can definitely make a video on this because I found that to be the easiest way for me to keep myself organized when it came to applying to the schools that I applied to. And so I found like a template that helped me stay organized. So I can definitely make a video on that if you want to, and if so, feel free to leave that in the comment section down below. Alright, so now we're going to be moving on to the month of July. So the first point, once again, is to continue doing your practice for the GRE or decide to take it if that is your plan. Slowly add to the Excel sheet to your grad schools that you are interested in applying to. Here you can begin to brainstorm and figure out which professor you were closest to, which professor you did well in their course, and all those things. You can look at the pros and cons and deciding which professor might be the best fit for you. Next is to continue to edit that personal statement, the brag sheet, as well as the letter of recommendation email template that you are creating. So I talked a little bit about slowly compiling the grad schools, but oftentimes people already know what schools they want to apply to. So here, this is where they choose to narrow down what schools they really want to apply to, even if that means deciding between one or another. So I highly would suggest to do this around this time. I definitely can make a video also on what to look for in a grad school, given that I definitely have experience on that. I remember when I was applying, I knew what I wanted to get into, but then at the same time, when it came time to making a decision, I had to fully think about what I was looking for in terms of a potential grad school, because I'm going to not only invest in my education, but I'm going to be there for 2 years. So I need to make sure that I pick a school that definitely fits my needs as a student. Finally, here you can have someone slowly begin to look at your personal statement. Oftentimes it's very good that you have someone give you a new set of fresh eyes. I don't think I'm saying that right. Point is, you just have someone else that's not yourself look over your personal statement. That way they can give you pointers and see oh, maybe this doesn't make sense, maybe you can move this over here, or look, you have a grammatical error, you should double check that, and things like that. So I highly would suggest to ask someone to look at your personal statement before you continue making additional changes. Okay, so the first thing that you should do for the month of August is to take the GRE if you haven't done so already. I would recommend to take it before you start the fall term. That way, in case you can avoid it by getting it done prior to school. And that's what I decided to do. I definitely don't want to take the GRE while I am in school, given that I'm already going to have a bazillion things to do. So adding that definitely won't work for me, at least. So that's why I'm planning on taking it in July. Next is to finalize any information on CSDCAS, whether that is just the miscellaneous things, includes your name and all that stuff. I don't know how CSDCAS works, but the most general information that you can possibly fill out, by all means, feel free to do that. That way you don't have to worry about that. Here's where you should reach out to your recommenders. So the reason why I put this here is because it is very important that you send them an email right away, because one, if they are very quote unquote popular, meaning that if a lot of students ask for letters of recommendation from them, then that means so many other people are also going to want a letter. So it's very important to go to your professor right away. That way they can give you an answer. And also the reason why I put this here is because some professors might actually say no. I remember this happened to me, and I had to quickly find someone else to write me a letter. And so it's important that you give yourself enough time in case if they decide to say no. That way you can reach out to someone else. Next, here's where you can finalize your personal statement and then send the email to your recommender as well as the brag sheet. That way you get that all done and you didn't have to worry about the hassle of having to start at that very moment. Next, this is where you can actually begin to finalize your school choices if you haven't done so already, and then wait for the supplemental application. So sometimes some schools, and I think actually almost all the schools, come with a supplemental application. So not only do you have to fill out a CSDCAS application, you also have to do the application for the program itself. And they usually come with their own fee and their own requirements as well. So I would highly suggest to look out for those too. Finally, create a plan for the fall term specifically that deals with grad applications and your classes themselves. I cannot tell you how important it is to stay organized in this time, because there's probably going to be a moment where you're going to lose it and you're just going to have a bazillion things to do. And so it's very important that you stay fully organized, that you have a plan of attack for the fall, because you want to be able to not only balance your classes, given that your classes are very important to say the least, but you need to continue to keep your grades up, and then you also are going to be applying for the schools, finalizing supplemental application materials, the essays, and all those things. So I highly would suggest to get that as soon as possible, like get your plan organized. One final thing also that I forgot to mention was transcripts. I heard it's very important to send your transcripts prior to the fall term, because you wanna they may take some time, yes, but it's very important that you have your transcripts finalized and put in there as well. So even if you don't have your fall terms, that's totally okay, because you're going to end up sending an official transcript once you graduate, I believe. So it's okay if you don't have the official fall term grades listed. As long as you have anything from summer, then by all means feel free to send those in. I can definitely double check on that one, but for the most part, highly would suggest to send your transcripts, because they definitely take some time, unless of course you're willing to pay the extra fee for express, which is I believe sometimes $50. But if you just want normal snail mail, some schools do it rapidly where it's just electronic, but other schools do snail mail, so that may take an additional month or so to process. So I would highly suggest to just plan ahead for the month of August, because that's going to be the month prior to finalizing everything before you submit. And yeah, that basically wraps up today's video. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you want for me to make a part 2 in regards to how to prep for the fall term, then by all means feel free to leave that in the comment section down below, or also give me a thumbs up, because it definitely lets me know the type of content that all of you are enjoying. So with all that said, also today is May 18th, and I know it's National SLP Day, so happy National SLP Day to all of my SLPs to bees, or SLPs who are watching this channel. You guys are definitely amazing. I'm so thankful for this awesome community, and I swear I probably wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for all those people who have helped me navigate my my path in speech language pathology. So thank you so much to everyone, and happy SLP Day to all of you. So with all that said, that basically wraps up today's video, and I will see you all next time. Take care, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye guys!